TruthSeekah and/or its affiliates are not responsible for any strange phenomena that may occur during or after listening to this podcast, which may include the following: heightened senses of awareness, psychic abilities, UFO sightings, alien contact, time loss, out-of-body experiences, ringing in the ears, ESP, lucid dreaming, increased synchronicities, astral projection, telepathy, stronger intuition, levitation, miraculous healings, and/or remote viewing. Please be advised to listen at your own discretion.
Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? To a place to walk on troubled seas, faith to stand when I don't believe. I just wanna be with you. Won't you come and take me away? I just wanna be with you. Won't you come?
You are now locked into the TruthSeekah Podcast.
Gargoyles! Psychics! Everything's ungodly! Dark savage!
Streaming live at TruthSeekah.com.
She's not a Christian!
Give it up, y'all.
Your portal to the paranormal, esoteric, and all things spiritual.
She's tampering in dark sided stuff!
And now, your host, TruthSeekah.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? How y'all doing? How's everyone doing tonight? We are live on the TruthSeekah Podcast. We're going to open up the phone lines tonight. We're going to allow people to call in. I want to hear your stories. I want to hear your UFO, alien experiences, all that good stuff. Make sure that you guys take advantage of that. We have Gothic Mystic handling the phone lines. Let me bring him in for a moment. Gothic Mystic, are you there?
Yes, I am.
How's it going, man?
Okay, and yourself?
Good, good. Can you hear me loud and clear on the phone line end?
Yeah. I had to turn you up a little bit on my end, but other than that, you're coming out good.
Nice. Just gotta get the Zoom set back up. Zoom's been having a lot of crazy updates lately, and so having to keep updating all that kind of stuff. Adam says we can't see you. Here we go. Let's see. I should have this fixed here in a second, Adam, so you can see my mug. Boom. Did that work? I think so. All right, here we go. You can see me now. What's up, Adam? Adam Starseed Bay. Gothic Mystics here with us. McCurb 10. What's up? I said McCurb. Mr. Cuba.
There we go.
Gothic Mystic and Just Be Real. So wherever you're listening from tonight, go ahead and drop us a line in the chat and say hello. We can see where you're hanging out with us from. And again, we're going to open up the phone lines. The phone number is streaming no matter where you're listening. The number is 515-605-9776 is the number to call in. So if you have any stories, any experiences that you want to share, make sure that you call in and share those with the audience. I get emails all the time, people just emailing me their story, and they're sending me these pages and pages of stuff to read, and I'm like, man, we need to open up the phone lines again and make it to where people can just call in and share. So that's what we're doing. We're doing this on a Friday night stream here, and looking forward to hearing from you guys. So man, shout out to you all. As always, I got to say a huge thank you to all the Patreon supporters, everybody supporting my work and this podcast via Patreon. There's so many new people coming on every day, different people, and we did the School of the Mystics the other night, which was something that we do every Thursday night for the patrons, just a little private hangout, and there was new people in there, and they've been listening for a while, and just kind of got to hear everybody's story and get to meet people. So I really love that. So that's one of the things you get access to by becoming a patron. And so some of the latest patrons within the last week or so. I'm giving you guys a shout out, say your name publicly. Thank you, Nathaniel Mason, for coming on. Nathaniel, for supporting. You're awesome. It means the world. Seth Makamovich, thank you for coming back on, Seth. I see you there. Amanda Culver, thank you for coming on as well. And Christine Moore, thank you guys for believing in the work. Listen, if you want to support, go to patreon.com/TruthSeekah. There you get access to my entire discography of music. It's 200 plus songs. All the new stuff that I'm working on is available there as well. I'm almost done with this next album. I'm literally done with my stuff. I'm just waiting on some of the features to come back. So I got 3 features out, and then there's going to be a new album. So as soon as they come back, I just talked to Watchman today, waiting on a track from him, and he said he just finished his verse. And then I got 2 more outside of that. So super excited to get these back and be done with this album, man. I've been sitting on some of this work for over a year. So I'm excited to get it out there. And I know you guys are ready. I get messages nonstop. People want to know when it's coming in. So Adam says, let people to know to turn off the podcast when they call in. Yeah, when you call in, mute the YouTube or whatever. You'll be able to hear on the line. So that's something that you can do too, because you'll experience a lag if you don't. So again, just opening up the lines for any experiences, man. Anything you guys really want to talk about, open lines. So just know that that's available for you all. It would just talk about encounters and experiences. I get so many emails and so many messages from people telling me about their experiences and asking me what I think about them. So, you know, whether they record them and send them in, or be able to call in and be able to talk to people. So that's what the power of the internet is. So we get to do that. Gothic, maybe we can start with you, man. Okay. What are some of your experiences, man? Because I know, you know, the UFO phenomena for you is a touchy subject. It's something that's, you know, a lot of fear. Have you gotten over your fear of UFOs?
For the most part, I have. For those who are listening who don't know my history, I haven't really shared too much on my channel. I had a experience, I want to say either whenever I was 6 or 8. Don't know exactly what happened, but basically it derailed me for about 30 years now. And it caused me to really originally fear, and as we know, fear grows into hate. Anything that has to do with like aliens, UFOs, anything to do with that. So like literally like the movie E.T., I couldn't even watch it just because of E.T. But now I own it. I own the movie. And I've been making these movements to try to get past this. So now I'm kind of to the point where I'm open to things, but I don't know if the Lord's saying, okay, no, you're getting there. You're almost there. It's just a matter of time. But it's I'm looking forward to seeing something, since I am now in Arizona, in kind of just a few hours south of that Four Corners area where the supernatural really is strong.
Oh yeah, because you know I just got back from Arizona, and there's a lot of activity, dude, for sure. Like yeah,
I'm looking forward to seeing something. I remember. It was 2018 when we did the first, what was it, the worldwide view. I thought for sure I saw something, then it was a airplane. I'm like, dang it!
Didn't we do that? That's when we did, and then we opened up the phone lines on Christy Lee's show or whatever. That's the first one?
I don't remember that.
Okay.
All I remember is that I was hoping to see something before I crashed for the night. Mm-hmm. It turned out to be an airplane flying over, but it was still that stepping stone for me.
Yeah. Well, you talk about your fear, and I thought it was funny. I called you out, and it's a cool way to face your fears, because we did the webinar with Dee Wallace, the mom from E.T., the mom who was the mom from the movie. And so we did the webinar with her. And I was like, we were, asking questions and stuff like that. And I kind of put you on the spot. I was like, hey, somebody is suffering from some PTSD because of the movie, and oh, what happened? And so you got to talk to her about your PTSD with ET and stuff. That was funny.
That was definitely interesting. Never thought that would ever happen. Like, holy crap, I'm talking to Mom from ET.
Yeah, about my fear of aliens.
Yeah.
It's awesome. But yeah,
I'm
everything
definitely
comes
up to
full
something now.
circle, right? It's crazy.
Yes. Yeah, most definitely.
So yeah, I see some comments here about people in the chat about their UFO experiences after meditation. They had some, so that's interesting. So yeah, make sure you guys call in too if you want to share your experiences on air. So we want to definitely get you on the air and share them for everybody to hear. The audio apps, man.
Give us a call. 515-605-9776.
Chrissy says Michael Basham has been seeing some UFOs in Hawaii. Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, there's been a lot more activity, man, with that, and then with synchronicities have been interesting too. I feel like a lot of that's going hand in hand, like seeing not just UFOs or aliens, but the supernatural, and seeing, you know, the repetitive numbers and synchronicity, and just some random one yesterday on the School of the Mystics where, you know, Matthew, this guy was talking about we were talking about phantom smelling and being able to smell things that aren't there. You know, that's something that's kind of going around with COVID, and he just was like
something about that.
And then he asked about, have we heard about phantom limbs, like somebody who lost an arm or something, but they can still feel like their arm is there, you know? And I said, yeah, I heard about that. So he kind of told us about that phenomena of phantom limbs. And then literally 10 minutes later, if that, there's an ad for a band on my Facebook popped up called Phantom Limbs.
What?
Yeah. And I did the screen share, and I was like, dude, look at this band. There's a band called Phantom Limbs that was a sponsored ad that he just asked us if we had heard of that phenomena. So, strange, right?
Yeah. Sometimes that stuff is like, what the crap? It's like they're listening behind. But still, it's just weird when that stuff happens. I have to admit, I have not gone out for a drive during the night, and I keep on forgetting that. And so I need to do that here soon, just to see if I see something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So how far are you from Sedona? You say you're like 4 hours away, or?
About 3 or 4 hours away. Yeah. So that's definitely on my to-do list whenever I get the chance to kind of get more stabilized. Mm-hmm. But I haven't been up there in, oh my gosh, probably about 15 years or so. Sounds about right. About 15 years. And I remember very vaguely, mind you, but I remember feeling that there was something different about Sedona. Obviously, I didn't have the knowledge I have now, and so I want to go back up there specifically as a kind of exploration, but also as a research thing, just to see if I could find something, or find, because I know there are certain areas that are more profound with the energy than different things. So I'm kind of wanting to go out there just to see if I come across something. Yeah,
the energy vortexes or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it, dude. It's beautiful up there. Like I said, we just took our family vacation and took our first trip, and it was awesome. You know, so cool. And saw so much too.
That Sedona always just, each time I see a picture or video of it, it fascinates me. I'm like, because the area is so much different. Not even talking about the energy, but like compared to other areas of mountains, it's like, how did these mountains become just like stacks of rock, not connected to anything else? So strange.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's where we went to. So we went to Monument Valley, and there's just a lot of people saying those are ancient tree stumps. Those were trees at one point. You got these huge, monuments or big, things of dirt coming out the ground. They're huge, and I guess they say rain and millions of years of erosion and all of that stuff kind of making that stuff form, but really cool and interesting. And I've got a video coming out. I did shoot a video while I was there, so that'll be coming out. So I'm in front of those monuments. We woke up for sunrise. My wife got me out of bed. It was like six in the morning, and plus it was like we were like, I think 2 hours behind too, so it was 4 in the morning really. So we got out and caught the sun coming up with the like right behind the monuments. So
nice.
made for a pretty cool video. So I've edited most of that. I may do some green screen work on it, and but that'll be one of the first videos that I drop. Is going to be the video from Monument Valley. So
sweet.
Toy George says, go ahead.
No, I was just going to mention about the something completely different than the subject that we're on.
Okay, what you got?
But how the sunrise is so much earlier out here.
Mm-hmm.
I do not understand that, but that's beside the point. But like it's thrown me off several times, seeing it bright, through the shades. And I check, and it's only 6 or 6:30. It's like, what the crap?
Yeah, and it goes down so late, dude. It was like 9 o'clock, and the sun was still up.
Yeah,
because we were like waiting for stargazing, and the sun's got to go down.
Yeah,
and it was like 9 o'clock, and the sun's still bright. It was like, what the heck? It had to be like 10:30. The sun go down. That was crazy.
It's thrown me off several times. I'm starting to get used to it. I've been here for about just around a month-ish. So I'm starting to get used to it, but it's just weird. It doesn't make any sense. But what were you saying about Toy George?
No, Toy George here says in the chat, what's a CE5? Because somebody mentioned mentioned CE5 and mentioned what is it. So a CE5 is the close encounters of the fifth kind. We know about the first, second, third, and the fourth kind, right? Fourth kind is you go upon an alien ship or you get abducted or whatever. The fifth kind is a new one that was just coined probably 20 years ago, if that, which is where they don't contact you, but you contact them. So the CE5 initiative, I would say that was like highlighted by Dr. Stephen Greer, James Gillen. Those two guys for sure made it famous, but a lot of other people are doing it because of their protocol that they came up with, but they're going out into open fields and asking for a sighting and essentially summoning or calling down a ship or just asking to see one, and so that's what a CE5 is, CE5 initiative. I've done them. That's what kind of helped to facilitate my spiritual awakening, because once you see them, there's no unseeing it, so much, magic and mystery and also fear, like Gothic said, like, it's scary because you've watched all those movies, about abductions and, these monsters kidnapping you and stuff, and Travis Walton and Fire in the Sky and all that. So yeah, there's always like some programming in the back of your head. Listen, television programming, these movies are programs. And so once that, can give you PTSD, especially from having those encounters and in your mind linking those movies. So, so many people early on were like, yeah, be careful with the CE5 thing, because you're going to end up getting abducted, and these demons are going to come get you, and you're opening up your life to demons and stuff. So there's a lot of his fear and hysteria, but that's with anything with the unknown anyway.
Yeah.
That just comes with the territory. So, but people are doing it and having beautiful encounters, man. Down here on the Gulf Coast, like people, one of the biggest sightings that is recorded in history is the Gulf Breeze UFO phenomena that I believe Dr. Stephen Greer was a part of. and they were there doing a CE5, and there was all these lights that just started coming on in the ocean, and just pretty much on the horizon, they just started appearing one at a time, and all these lights appeared. And they ended up saying that later on that something appeared around them, like a plasma ship sat down around them, is what they describe it, which is really crazy. They said the energy shifted, and they could see like the silhouettes of beings around them and stuff. So it was these UFOs that were way out in the ocean that everyone saw. The news crew came out and got pictures and video. And then later on, they said that something, descended, and they were in the middle of it. So it's interesting,
Very.
Adam says, I'm ready to meet.
What were we saying? Good.
Adam says, I'm ready to meet the 30 plus different kinds of ET beings.
To me, that would be a little, a little much, but it's like it kind of makes me wonder how I would respond seeing something. But 30 plus. Phew.
Yeah, and that's probably a soft estimate,
Good. I know every so often before I moved out west, whenever my family would get together, me and my uncle would kind of his sense of sarcasm reminds me of my old coworker Aaron, who connected me and you. It took me 9 months to be able to understand and get his sarcasm, and so my uncle's, it's like every so often whenever we're talking, I go with it as a kind of a joke, but at the same time, I'm like, are you serious or are you just speaking in sarcasm?
Adam's serious.
Yeah, I know Adam's serious. But some people's, it's like, I can't tell if you're serious or not.
Yeah, I think that's what they said. Speaking of Dr. Stephen Greer, so he, hosts the Disclosure Project, and that was something where he went before Congress to try to get back in the 90s, I believe, to try to get some disclosure. So they paid for it, but they had all these people who were members of the military, different branches, and working for different places, and this whole panel of people who have had encounters with UFOs and eyewitness reports and next level stuff that they were openly talking about, and everybody shared their experiences and trying to get the government to admit something, and these people worked for the government. And so they had this big presentation, and one of the guys on there was saying that there were 30 plus different races of ETs that are visiting the planet. So
interesting.
What's up?
It kind of reminds me. I'm going to catch sunrise at the there's rock in 4 weeks now. Remember how I know that there are some talk about like some of the sci-fi shows out there is almost like a cover or kind of a play on words or whatever when it comes to some of the projects that the military has. And I know, have you ever watched Stargate?
No.
Okay, Stargate.
Which would probably should be one that I watch, right? As much as
I love Stargate. I love Stargate SG-1, probably one of my favorites. But I want to say it was about halfway through. It could have been a little bit earlier. But they had a episode that literally poked fun at the show itself, and and even though I knew it was supposed to be making fun of their own selves, I'm like, you are so giving yourselves away at the same time, because in the show, it's written by this other supposed nut in in quotations in the show, and it was okay. This is a top secret government organization that travels through wormholes, yada yada yada, and it does this whole show. I'm like, so wait a minute, you're saying, you're making fun of yourself for doing this, but at the same time, I'm like, I wonder, and somehow or another, I don't remember how I found out about it, but I literally found out what the show was based on, what Air Force project the show was based on. And I looked up and got all the files for it. I think I lost it. I think I actually mentioned this to you whenever we actually made our documentary last year. But it was just interesting. I'm like, okay. And I'm kind of trying to figure, okay, of the show, how much of the show is just like loose interpretation versus play on words of the actual project? Does that make sense? I know some people are kind of going to go on that. And yes, Adam, I actually have a friend of mine actually gave me his collection of Stargate. No, I mean Star Trek, The Next Generation, and I have, I think, about 4 or 5 seasons of that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean they hide a lot of this stuff in movies, and it's fun to find it. You know, it's fun to see the stuff and where it comes from, and you know, a lot of technology. They say that the technology we have is anywhere from, you know, they try to, one of the early numbers they threw out was like, you know what I'm saying, 30 years behind the technology that we have in the movies, that we're a little bit behind, but they've also said thousands of years, so 1,000 years behind too. So yeah, I'm, you know what I'm saying, like everything that was going on in Star Wars when that was, you know, all that came out in the what, 80s or whatever. Yeah, they've already had that technology. That's stuff that's happening. And then now we have, you know, Star Wars and Trump, you know, branding a branch of the military called Space Force. Now we are policing space. You know, it's something that just seems like it was in the movies, but it's always been real. They just don't, you know, let people know about it. So I don't know. They think people are going to panic. One of the excuses early on was that, you know, that it would end religion, and religion would suffer if the truth came out about UFOs and aliens, because they're not in the Bible, as what other people would say. But religion has a way of adapting, you know. And so yeah, they would take a stance, and we know that the majority of Christians, you know, take the stance that UFOs are, you know, demonic monsters. And even now, with all of the UFO disclosure coming out, you know, there's even more Christians being vocal about, you know, these are not from another planet, but they're from another dimension, the dimension of hell, you know, a portal of hell or something, you know. And so all these Christians are like scaring people about the UFO and alien phenomena. So yeah.
One thing that doesn't make sense about that is that if they're from the dimension of hell, that means that hell's open. But I don't want to go off on a tirade or kind of get us completely off on topic. But it's just like they don't fully understand what they're saying, and they don't what's that word I'm looking for? They don't think critically of what they're saying. They're just trying to explain it all away.
Yeah. I mean, with as much money as it is in ufology, especially from the Christian teaching on, like pastors are teaching on CERN and stuff now, you know, and you know they can teach on this stuff, and you know what I'm saying, Sunday morning now, but you know, without being looked at like they're crazy as it was, you know, 10 years ago. So the Illuminati and New World Order and whatever, now pastors are speaking on it, which they're reading from the Book of Enoch now, you know, like that's normal for a lot of pastors to quote, you know,
which is crazy compared to kind of where we've seen, but now it's, I haven't come across one yet, but I'm looking forward to it. But like, you know, I know me, you, and a lot of the what we call mystics do kind of go to it on a regular basis and all, and basically I consider it scripture. I know some people don't, and that's perfectly fine, to each their own, but I'm still kind of going through all the different apocrypha. So it's fascinating what all is in there, and as you continue to do that research and kind of figure out, or I don't want to say figure out, kind of question, why was this removed when this is clearly, spirit led? You can feel it, but it's fascinating, that stuff and whatnot.
Paul Wilcox says that L.A. Marzulli has a new documentary out about them being demonic. Yeah, they all.
I don't think I've heard of him before. I have to look him up.
Really? No, he's like he's the biggest name in Christian ufology. Lynn Marzulli, L.A. Marzulli.
I know I actually had a book. I actually bought it several years ago. I have yet to go through. I think it's by Chuck Missler.
Okay, he's a big name too. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually have the Genesis thing by Chuck Missler. And, no, just Genesis in general, of him going through Genesis. So I'm gonna have to see if I can find the book that I bought a few years ago based on aliens. And whenever I found out that he was a big proponent of that kind of surprised me. But now I understand more of okay, I see it.
Yep. I'm gonna read some of these chats here. Let me know if anybody's on the line. Go ahead and screen the calls. I think we got some callers coming in. Zooman says, I actually got started seeking knowledge after reading a Christian book called The New World Order, written by Pat Robertson in 1992. Wow. Yeah, Pat Robertson, he was on this jump back in the day, with the end of the world, stuff, and Revelations this, Revelation that. Him and I'm probably thinking more of Jack Van Impe. But yeah, Jack Van Impe was definitely one that was big on that. Him and his wife Rex Sella, big end time people. But yeah, it's always a book or a movie or a catastrophe, something sparks these spiritual awakenings, and prompts people to ask those deeper questions. And if you're reading that and looking into this kind of stuff in 1992, we already know you're a trooper, and you've probably seen and been through it all, like most of us here, been in this stuff early on. I got into a lot of this, in probably 2007, 2008 with 9/11 truth and all that kind of stuff, and Hebrew Israelite movements and Illuminati and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's cool. Good to see you.
All right.
Good to see you guys in chat.
We got Tony. I'm waiting for whenever you're ready regarding a CE5 encounter that he wants to share.
Go ahead and bring him in.
All righty.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Tony, what's up, man?
Oh, just here in Mount Shasta watching this fire.
Hey, there's another energy vortex, right?
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, been a lot of fires right here around the mountains lately.
Wow.
Just keep an eye on. But I call, I got the notification and saw there was a live thing going and decided I'd call in because I've been listening to all your live broadcasts recently, and thought I'd share a 9. So I have a friend who had just come back from Peru, and he had been down drinking ayahuasca medicine with some of the ayahuasqueros down there. And he also makes medicine, same kind of medicine, except his medicine was derived from Mimosa hostilis root bark, and the other part of it was from Syrian rue. You follow me so far?
Yeah.
So I had just met him through a mutual sister, and I was living in Seal Beach at the time, and we were looking for a place to go have a ceremony. And ultimately, we ended up in Malibu Canyon, California, at a state park there. And so we drink. Let me back up a little bit. Earlier in the week, because it took us a few days to like find a spot we wanted to go to, and couple days in, he's sharing a couple of UFO experiences with me that he had, over in Texas, Lubbock, Texas, Caprock Canyon. He's telling me about these experiences, and I'm pretty fascinated, and I've never had any, I was open to the idea, but I never had anything like that myself. So I was still on the skeptical side of things, and I was like, man, that would be really cool, have to see one. And so a few days later, we're out there in Malibu Canyon, and it was just the three of us, just me and brother and sister, and we small hill in the middle of that valley, and we're camping out. We drink this medicine, and he was playing this singing bowl. He had a 300-year-old singing bowl that was like handmade by the Bompo people in the Himalayas. And he's playing this singing bowl. That was the first time I had even seen a singing bowl before. And playing the singing bowl, and we had drank the medicine, and this medicine just ripped me apart, really. Super intense. And literally, I was screaming for Jesus for about 3 hours.
Hey, for some reason you're really low right now. It's like, it kind of sounds like you're away from the phone.
Yeah, hold on just a second. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hold on just a second. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. So where was I? I was screaming for Jesus.
Screaming for Jesus for 3 hours, right? Is that what you said?
I was, man. It was just, I've had a lot of medicine experiences, and prior to that, I had never drank any kind of, I'd never orally consumed DMT with monoamine oxidase inhibitors, and so here we drank this medicine, and while I'm coming up on the medicine, I was feeling really good, and I just kind of made a comment like, man, I could take a whole lot of this stuff. And he was like, oh yeah? And give me another dropper full of it. And within just a few minutes, I'm screaming for Jesus for a long time. Like I get really cold. It was like the temperature just dropped 40 or 50 degrees all of a sudden, and I was just freezing, like I almost like I was in hell, except hell is like a place where it's freezing, not hot. And so go through this whole experience and come out the other side of it, and it's about 3:30 in the morning. I'm just now like starting to like sit up and move around, and like in a place, just kind of in this afterglow, and in a place where kind of want to start talking about things. And I went to get my backpack. I was going to roll a joint. And all of a sudden, like it was like it just started like one, you know how like when coyotes howl, like one will howl and another one and another one.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like one and then another and another, and then it wasn't just the coyotes. It was just like all the animals in the whole valley that start going crazy. It's just so freaking loud. And I live in Southern California for a while, and I've been through earthquakes and stuff, and I know how animals, they how they act right before an earthquake. So that's what I thought. I was like, hey guys, I think we're about to have an earthquake. And my friend who made the medicine we drank, he pops up and he says, just all nonchalant, he says, it looks like we have an unexpected guest. I'm like, what do you mean? And he says, look right over there. And he's pointing out in the sky, like, and he was pointing to the north of where we were. So, like, he was, it was like pointing towards like Santa Monica, that area, Topanga. And I'm looking at this. It looked like a really bright star. And I said, well, what is it? He says, it's a UFO. It knows we're here, and it's looking for us. And I was like, what, dude? Now's not the time, like, now's not the time for, like, fooling around. And so I'm looking at this thing, and it's sitting there in the sky, and I'm like, man, it could just be like a light on a tower, or, what could it be, a plane? Because, like, LAX was in that direction, too. And I was like, could it be a plane? Like, I'm really scrutinizing it, and it's just really bright. You could kind of tell it was in the atmosphere. It wasn't like outside the atmosphere. It was just like could have been a light on a tower. And I'm looking at it really hard, and all of a sudden, it just shoots off like to the left, just super. Just from a standstill to, I don't even know how fast it was. Like, just so fast. Which was not anything like what I had. I wasn't expecting that at all. So it was like all of a sudden, here's this thing. I never seen anything move like that before. And it makes its way around because it started off really fast and then it had slowed down. And it was just making this big arc, right? Because it was probably 5 miles out at least. And it makes this big, huge arc. And this thing, as it's getting closer to us, about halfway between where it was and where we were, you could tell that there were 3 lights. There were 3 lights in a triangular pattern. And it was just getting closer and closer. And I don't know whether I should run or hide or sit still or what. It was kind of one of those, like, an unnerving, like, what's about to happen right now? Are we about to get abducted? Is this thing going to stop? This is just kind of freaking me out.
Yeah.
And so it comes closer and closer, and this craft, whatever it was at least the size of a small grocery store, right? Just big, huge triangular, like a equilateral triangular craft, and it's going no more than 10 miles an hour, and it's at a low altitude. It was so low I could have threw a rock and hit it, and it just goes by and it doesn't make a sound at all. Just all you could hear was just the wind, just passing through the air. It didn't stop; it just kept going. But it was one of these. I got the distinct feeling that, having tryptamine compounds in the brain, and the brain being a receiver and a transmitter, that somehow whoever is manning these crafts have a way of picking up on those signals. And perhaps that was the reason why it showed up, because it's like what my friend had said right when he spotted it was that what it was, and it's looking for us, and that it knew we were there, and this thing just flew straight over the spot we were, like directly above head. So anyways, that's my story.
Yeah, wow. That's crazy, man. So you saw it at first, it like flew away, then it came right above you guys.
Yeah, it was pretty far out in the sky, and it just shot off really fast. And at some point it had just slowed down, and when it was approaching very slow, is what I'm saying. It never, the speed never really changed after that first after it first took off, and then it slowed down, and it just stayed at that pace, and it just was just kind of slowly creeping up, you know, and this thing just flew right over, like almost as if to say, you know, hello, we're here, we're real. And it was, you know, because I mean, earlier in the week, I was like, man, it would be really cool to see something like that, and then next thing you know, there was one.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. That's awesome. That stuff will change your life, man, when you have an encounter like that, you know? It seems like you was on the roller coaster, because you had all the emotions. You went to hell, then essentially went to heaven. A beautiful, blissful experience, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely, it definitely, I'm no longer a skeptic, you know, like I don't know exactly what to make of it, other than the fact that, okay, there are interdimensional or extraterrestrial beings that are present here with us. I didn't get the sense that these beings were malevolent in any way, because if they wanted to be, they could have been, I'm certain. But it gave me a good feeling, like, okay, you know, this is a real thing, and everything is okay. Like I get the sense that, yes, we have allies that are, they're benevolent beings that are here, kind of like keeping an eye on things, that, you know, as to protect us from ourselves in a way.
Yeah, I think so. I think that we've been talking about that a lot lately, that they're just seem to be watching over humanity. They've been here since the beginning, but I think they're limited in what they can do as far as our evolution, you know. They kind of with our affairs, you know.
Yeah, well, there are certain universal laws that are in place that they observe and honor, and, you know, for those of us that consent to being contacted, then that contact can be made. But for the greater whole of humanity and societies, you know, they don't have that consent. So it's like they would be violating our free will if they were just uncloak their ships and everybody saw it. It could be psychologically damaging, I think, to some people. So
yeah.
I think that's why they, you know, kind of stay in the shadows, or whatever you want to call it. They just, you know. But I have been contacted multiple times since then, like in different ways.
Yeah, it's life changing, man. You know, no, you don't really hear the term abduction or abductee. People call themselves contactees and experiencers now, you know, because they have these beautiful experiences. And I know Travis Walton from Fire in the Sky, right? The person whose, you know, story that movie was based off of, comes back now and says that his encounter was pleasant, you know, that they were trying to help him because he got too close to the ship when it powered up, and so they had to help resuscitate him and all that kind of stuff, and that's why they picked him up on the ship. So a lot of those scary.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you haven't heard that?
No, I hadn't heard that. That's the first I've heard of it, and I definitely watched that movie when it came out, so I'm familiar with that.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I see them hanging out here sometimes. Here in Mount Shasta, I see them there. I actually have some video footage of one that stuck around for a little while. It's the first time I ever got photos or video footage of it. You know, it's kind of strange, like crazy looking, like Merkaba type craft. Like I was able to zoom in on it. I have a camera that zooms in. Huh?
Was it changing shape and stuff, or?
Well, I have a Canon camera. It's not like a super fancy one, but it does zoom in pretty good. And it was the same kind of thing, a bright light out there in the sky, and I'm looking at there's no stars or planets that should have been right there at the time, and so I'm zooming in on this thing, and my footage is a little bit shaky because like I'm trying to hold it still, but it's like the slightest movement changes it. But yeah, this thing, it looked like in the zoomed in footage, it looks like there's a membrane around the outer. It almost looks like a cell. It looks like a cell with a membrane, and it has like a hexagonal shape inside of it. And I could see that there were these darker. They weren't lit up or anything, but there were these like things that were coming up from underneath it, and they were poking up against the outer membrane. They would just like kind of bounce against it and then go into it. And it was just, and it was just like again and again and again. Like that thing, that's not and it would just sit there. It sat there. I waited all the way until the sun came up because it was it was 2 or 3 in the morning when I first saw the thing, and all the stars and the moon and everything are going across the sky, and this thing just still sitting there, the same spot, pretending like it was a star.
Yeah.
So they're definitely here. If anybody has any doubts.
Yeah, I've seen some footage of literally what you're explaining. There's footage of similar stuff on the internet for sure. That looks just like that membrane and almost looks like something from Metroid. Do you remember one of the little?
Yeah, I remember that game.
Yeah, there was. I remember something from Metroid looking similar to that too. But yeah, there's footage of those type of ships for sure.
Right on. Well, man, I really appreciate the work you do. You and I have a mutual friend, Richie.
Yes, sir.
He was staying with me a few months ago and turned me on to your music. And
nice.
Then I subscribed to your channel and been kind of following along.
Oh, yeah, that's what's up, man. Richie's a good guy, man.
He is a good guy. Earlier, the caller before, like, was talking about like Star Wars and Star Trek and how a lot of metaphysical truths are infused into these movies, and they're put in the setting of this fictitious story, but it's actually real. Yep. And I know this to be the case because my grandfather, he was a metaphysician. And but he's also an author. He's a science fiction author. And he was explaining to me that the hierarchies in the universe are infused into these stories as to warm humanity up to the idea of these hierarchies, so ascended masters and stuff like this. Science guys just like lords of the nebula, and there's different kinds of characters in a story. So there are definitely a lot of that, like John Carter, Edgar Rice Burroughs, and some of these other authors. That's what they were doing with their stories.
Yeah.
If anybody ever watches the movie John Carter, that stuff's actually real.
That's a good one. Yeah.
it's pretty good.
Well, one of the ones that always does it for me was something we talked about a while ago, the Book of Enoch, and the Book of Enoch. When I remember when Transformers came out, the movie, and the name of the movie was Rise of the Fallen. And the plot and where the evil Decepticons were in chains of darkness and buried in the earth and under the ocean and things like that, and all of that was straight out of the Book of Enoch. It's almost like plagiarism. Like they ripped the Book of Enoch out and just changed the names of these characters, you know? And so all of the ancient texts and ancient mysticism and stuff, it's just being regurgitated and recycled for sure. You know, it was written down somewhere, and I think the more digging that you do, you can find it in some ancient holy books. For me, it's the Bible. Like I like to tear the Bible apart and finding all types of cool like mysticism in the Bible that or like, you know what I'm saying, spirituality that was, you know, that we've given away or whatever. But it's like, man, that stuff's even in the scriptures, man. You know, you're saying that, you know, this book doesn't have that stuff in it. This book is you know, against those things. It's like, no, this book is full of magic and mystery and UFOs and entities and telepathic communication, like UFOs. It's full of all of that, man. You know, we see that stuff just sprinkled through the movies, you know?
Well, you know, Jesus, Yeshua, when he would teach in parables.
Yeah.
And the parables and like all these other teachings in all the wisdom traditions, right? There's both the exoteric and esoteric. So the exoteric is for the layman, the common people.
Mm-hmm.
The esoteric is for those that really can read between the lines and pick up on these subtle secrets that are there, that people that are seekers, you know. It's not just these simple moral of the story and stuff like that. There's like actual hidden meaning there for if one has the mind, you know, if one's crown is open enough to pick up on these subtleties. So like, and that's, I mean, the Bible is definitely full of it. The whole book is. It's an esoteric manuscript, but here what we see today as the common Christian teaching, fundamentalist Christian teachings is all exoteric. Mm-hmm. They're kind of closed off to the mysticism. So it's like this, you know, all this mysticism and supernatural stuff is kind of just left out of. It was like, wow, you guys are missing out on like 90% of this whole entire teaching.
Yeah.
And so then that's why we have wars and people who disagree so much about their religious beliefs.
You're taking it literal, man.
I was going to read you something. Have you read the Keys of Enoch by J.J. Hurtak?
I have not.
At all?
Have not.
You mind if I read you something?
Go ahead.
All right. The Melchizedek Brotherhood. The Keys of Enoch by J.J. Hurtak. The Brotherhood was defined as the Earth's spiritual guardians. The hierarchy guided thus Lord Sananda, known in this life as Yeshua ben Joseph, and later as Jesus the Christ, heads the healing legions of brothers. The Archangel Michael heads the warrior legions. Together, they are called the Paradise Sons. The warriors cut the tongues, and the healers bind the wounds. So does Spirit support us in our healing and on our individual path to ascending gracefully into the higher realms. The brothers are also the scribes for Spirit, keepers of the Akashic records. They perform diverse functions of the divine plan and include many levels of spiritual awareness. The ascended masters form the higher energetic layers of the brotherhood, and yet they speak as we. Indeed, if all is one, then they are all interrelated vibrational essences. Any need for individual identification is as a result of our dualistic views and preconditioned thinking. To them, we are all one, including us. Melchizedek history from various sources. Melchizedek, eternal Lord of Light, the sovereign of light, is in charge of organizing the levels of the heavenly worlds of Yahweh. or transit into new creation, co-equal with Metatron and Michael in the rescue, regenesis, and re-education of worlds, going through the purification of living light. Melchizedek is a manifestation of the Son of God. In the history of a planet, Melchizedek was commissioned to prepare the true priesthood of sonship upon a planet for ecostological participation with the sons of light. Enoch said, the elect of the order of Melchizedek are sons of light, who have chosen to come into the world of form and manifest the sovereignty of Yahweh in transmuting the earth. They work in implementing the truth of God and occasionally even show themselves as a visible order, administering to man through the Merkabah, so that the archaeotectonic models in the heavens can be built on the earth as signposts to the many levels of the universal creation. It holds the keys to the opening of the heavens with respect to the contact areas on the earth, and has the ability to commune with the celestial communities of the brotherhoods of light throughout the Father universes, coordinating with the work of the Christ in the heavens and on the earth. The order is eternal and has foreordained its priests and programs before the world was. In the history of the planet, the order of Melchizedek has existed in a small family communities of priests, scientists, and poets, scholars who have faithfully attended to the Word of God. They administer the gifts of Shekinah, affecting the mental, physical, and spiritual states of existence. The priesthood is visible within every generation as a scattered brotherhood of light, so as to permeate the tree of the human race with the anointing power of the light needed to reawaken and resurrect the righteous seed into the light of the higher worlds. They are the sons of truth behind historical wisdom, holding the keys to the true history of the planet and the true genealogy of the Adamic people. According to Enoch, the sacred library of their priestly documents were moved from the temple in Jerusalem into the desert areas such as Qumran to preserve their records until the end of time, when the sons of light, as the order of Melchizedek, will return to the earth to unite the scattered brotherhoods of Melchizedek and establish the kingdom of God with Jesus, who is the eternal Son and High Priest after the order of Melchizedek. Moses had the keys to the priesthood of the light, revealed to him by God before the creation of the world. When he came to earth, he was anointed by the priesthood on earth as a righteous recipient of that light, which had been passed on from Noah and his generations to Abraham, and from Abraham to Jethro, and then to Moses. And that's it.
Wow. That's awesome, man. I haven't even read that. Where are you reading that from right now? Like, I know you're reading the book, but do you have a physical copy, or is it online, or?
Actually, I'm reading it from a link. I'm reading it from, it's a WordPress document. Oops.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying because I can't find that book anywhere less than $200.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me see. I will put the link in the chat.
Awesome. Appreciate that. Yeah, it's I'm looking it up now, and the cheapest one is $200, and that's cheap. The rest of them are way more. The Book of Knowledge, the keys of Enoch.
I think I actually have all three. I just haven't read the other two yet.
It's the white book with the 7 rays on it. The 7 rays, like it says Yahweh on the cover, and there's hands with rays of healing coming down.
Yeah, it has the dove, the Holy Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let me see. I'm gonna.
So it was. The second edition came out in 1982. But yeah, it's expensive. I guess it's rare.
Interesting.
I used to have the book myself, but it kind of got listed.
Yeah, I like collecting rare books, so that's a new one. Yeah, $200 is
Yeah,
the
you should check
cheapest.
it out. If you can get your hands on a copy of that, there's another one called the Pistis Sophia.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of that one for sure.
Yeah, I'm posting that link right now.
All right, I appreciate it. Hey, Tony, man, thanks for calling in and sharing your story, bro, and it's good to meet you, man.
Yeah, likewise, man. We'll keep in touch.
All right, sounds good, brother. Many blessings, bro. Thank you.
Y'all take it easy.
Shalom.
Take
Peace.
care, Tony.
Right. Shalom.
All right, that's awesome.
Okay.
Next we have
Kat. She has apparently you've talked to her before, and it's been a couple years.
Okay. Kat, welcome to the show. What's up?
Hi, I haven't talked to you. I called to say hi, and I did have a few little experiences I would talk about too. But it's been years. It's been a long time since I've talked to you live.
Yeah, this is Kat Doherty.
Okay. Yeah.
Awesome. Good to hear from you.
You too. I usually am shy. I have been shy times about talking like this, but I'm getting better. I know you. Years ago, you prayed for me for a place to live, and I have had a place the last 3 years.
Awesome.
You know, I ended up with cancer again, diagnosis again last year, but I've been on a cleansing, fasting, a whole journey with that. But I'm finally finding a protocol that I think is where I want to be.
Awesome. That's good.
Fasting and all that. Maybe I'll see more stuff as I'm cleansing more and more. But I hope you're doing all right.
Yeah, doing good. Obviously, you've seen I had COVID, so I'm doing better today. I'll say that. Me and my wife are both doing better. Able to get more breath in our lungs and take deeper breaths today. So yeah. Yesterday and the last couple of days were scary, So yeah, we're doing good today for sure.
Well, I know I won't get into all that on this, but I've been using my whole protocol. There's a nebulizer that I use, and I nebulize this fulvic blend and silver, and that is something you should look into.
Okay.
Really
yeah, a
helps.
lot of people have been saying that for sure.
Okay. And I know I've said Dr. Detox, that's who I'm following, and he's got some amazing products. And he's opening a healing retreat center in Mexico, so I'm hoping to get there.
Awesome.
In the fall. Yeah. But I had 3 things that were very visual and physical. And then, I always see little things, feel things, see things in the sky. But I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, I actually decided to go a month before I went to the beach, I was on somebody's property, and I had taken mushrooms and was laying out looking at the sky, and me and another person I was with saw a UFO fly over our head, and we were looking at the sky, and you could see, okay, things looked a different color, and that's an airplane, but it looks funky, and we both stood up and said, "Do you see that?" Yeah, and it stopped and hovered over us, full on UFO, did a zigzag and flew off, but we both saw it, so that was interesting. And then a month later, I was at the beach, decided to burn my dreadlocks. I had been sitting in a box for years, and I saw a shape-shifting Sasquatch. I was in between the beach and the woods where I was at. Nobody was there. It was a full moon. My friend went into the hotel, and I was all by myself, and I saw a dark figure. It turned into Sasquatch. I got scared, and it dissipated. So that was interesting with the UFO Sasquatch
Wow.
phenomena.
You think they're related? Do you think that Sasquatch is some type of interdimensional? Right? You say you've seen something shapeshift into it.
The one I saw was definitely. Yeah, I think it was. Yes. Yeah. And then I lived in a old house in North Carolina that was from the 1920s, and I used to I'd wake up seeing things like creatures and weird phenomenon bugs, and I got shaken out of bed by a apparition. Like, literally felt, grabbed my foot, and shook me out of bed. And I think they were trying to tell me, she was trying to tell me something. It was like an older lady, but I did have that happen as well. But
wow.
Yeah, I have a friend here in Oregon who sees everything. He can talk to beings, he can talk to people who have crossed over, and he has a skia machine. He happens to do energy work, but he sees everything. I'm hoping I'll get to that point where I see more visual like that. But I definitely always feel things.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm big on. Like, there's so much that we get to see, and we get to kind of like, visit their realm, through meditation and through breath work. I mean, there's so many cool tools that we have, DMT and psilocybin, so we can kind of peer into that realm. But for me, the cool stories is when they peer into ours, when they pop in and we get to see them, like the Sasquatch or the UFO or the ghost and the paranormal. Those experiences for me prove the existence of the afterlife.
Oh, definitely. And I used to have more UFO dreams. I don't remember my dreams all the time, and I haven't had any that I remember as of lately, but I used to have a lot of them when I was younger, and like probably in my 20s and 30s, but not so much lately. But now I've been on this, like, I've just did my third water fast. I'm on this water fast, but it has supplements. Like, I've done so many fasts that I couldn't really stick to just the water, but these supplements in it, it's really, really taking me to another level. I did a 6, a 9, and a 6, and then it's like 3 or 4 or 5 days coming off. So
nice.
The big one, but that's what I've been on every 2 months. So I just got finished with my third one.
We did I did a 3-day fast, a 3-day of a 5-day fast. I wish I would have stayed and did the whole thing, but I felt so good after the 3 days. The 3 days was amazing too.
Well, that's what he said. After you get through the third day, that's when your stem cells start producing. So that's when it gets easier.
Yeah. I was like feeling so good afterwards. I didn't even want to eat. I was like,
Yeah, that's how I feel. And then when I eat, I'm like, oh, that's why I'm like 4th day coming off, and I just started eating today, and I'm like, oh, I can feel it in my stomach. It's very weird just coming back from, like, I stay away from people mostly, and then coming back to interacting with people and food and my digestion and all those things.
So somebody in the chat says, I guess they have a question about the fasting. They want to know what a dry fast is. Do you want to explain the difference?
Oh, no, I'm not. I'm doing a water fast. I'm following the protocol of the Dr. Detox. His name's Daryl Wolf, where I'm doing, actually it's structured water, very specific one. Some people do go to that dry fast, but I like to stay hydrated. So with this, it's structured water. Yeah. And then I have these full acid supplements that he has. There's like several supplements that you can add in, and a few essential oils. You can do lemon, orange, and cinnamon essential oils in the water. But he's really big on the structured water. And I bought a little portable structured water unit. I've never had that before, and this is definitely, I've done just fruit, and I've done where I was mostly not drinking water, and it's just a few hours of eating, and I got dehydrated on those. So this, I don't I like this. I like this a lot. Sure. This is one I've been able to stick with. For years, I've tried everything, a million supplements, and different diets and fasts, and this is finally where I really am convinced. My tumors have been shrinking. In just a few months of doing this, my tumors are shrinking. So, and I'm seeing results.
That's
definitely.
Awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, finding what works for you and sticking with it, man. And especially where you're getting results. So that's awesome.
Yeah, because I did 2 weeks of fruit only, and my skin looks good and it's not, but and I do intermittent too, but I still get the water. I don't like the getting dehydrated. I mean, I know people go extreme and do the dry fasting with nothing, and work their way up to that.
Mm-hmm.
And get through that probably could be beneficial, but then for me, getting dehydrated is not fun.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for calling in and sharing your story and checking in with me. It's good to hear from you.
Yeah, thank you. I will be listening.
All right, my friend. Good to hear from you. Many blessings.
All right.
All right, shalom.
All right, you too.
All right. Everybody listening on YouTube, watching on YouTube, make sure y'all click the thumbs up button, man. Click the like button. I know we're over an hour into the show, but it does trigger the algorithms, and we've seen it send it out to more people. When everybody starts clicking like more people join in because it's putting it out there. It's the algorithm. So make sure y'all, if you're enjoying yourself, man, if you want me to do more of these open air, open line, really no agenda streams, man, make sure y'all click the thumbs up, and we'll see how they perform. They've been performing good. So we were doing these with just the Zoom panel. So for the patrons, every so often we'll do just a round table and get 3 or 4 of us on here and start with a question and just kind of roll the ideas. And it's so funny because I'm playing devil's advocate as far as just kind of rolling both sides of a stance or a circumstance or a situation and presenting both and just creating dialogue, right? And obviously I have my beliefs and I state them. I'm not married to any of them, but it's to put that aside just to explore. And that's fun, man. For us to cling to any kind of belief and think that that's the only way. I think we're deceiving ourselves. So, I do that on my podcast anyway, when I have a guest on, even if me and the guest disagree, I just prod them and ask questions, and I enjoy finding out what people believe and why. So that's the stance I take. But when we do that with the round table with 3 or 4 people, it's funny because we've yet to have people who take a hard left or a hard right. Everybody has their own, personal belief or preference, but they're not hard right or hard left with it. So we were all playing the what ifs and exploring the ideas, or maybe that's why this is happening, and maybe that's fun. And it's so cool. It's so cool because you pride each other for conversation, and somebody brings something else to the table, not in a debate, not in I'm going to prove you wrong and this is the only way and that kind of stuff, but hey, let's explore it a little bit. Hey, have you ever thought about this? Wow, that's deep. No, I haven't. And so I liked being challenged, but not challenged in a debateful, way or whatever, or your wrong way. But hey, have you thought about this? This could be what really is happening. And so the roundtable discussions have been fun. So that's one thing we do on Patreon. For those of you who are patrons, we've done a couple of those with Richie, Fred, myself, and we just kind of have a revolving cast when we do that as well. So if you guys want to be a part of a roundtable discussion with me, join the Patreon, and we do those sporadically too. So we're going to be going live a lot more. So we're going to be doing a lot more of it and bringing some more stuff to the table. So yeah, see, we got a bunch of likes already. Thank you guys for clicking the like. Thank you for clicking the thumbs up. Just in that short few minutes there. I want to say thank you to Illuminus, who gave the super chat. Thank you for the $5 super chat. Every little bit helps, man. Thank you so much. It means the world. Gothic, you
Yeah.
You seen the book? Did you Google it? Do you know which one it is? Because I've seen that image everywhere, from the front of that book.
I have not, but I do know that I actually have 2 different copies of the 3 books of Enoch.
If you have that copy, I'll buy it from you for $40.
Let me grab the 2 that I do have. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, dude. It's the cheapest copy is $200. And I'll see if I can share this on the screen here for those of you who are watching who can't go away. Those of you who are listening on the podcasting apps, you won't be able to see it. But so there's the book there. Most of you, if you've done any any Googling of images and books, you've probably seen this image. I'll make it bigger. So it's got this one's got a different name of God on the front. That's interesting. I'm assuming that's the name of God. I don't know what that is. The other ones have different names. Interesting.
I have not seen that before.
So the other one has it says Yahweh. This one says Kofi.
Interesting.
It's something in Greek. I don't know. Interesting. But it could be the different keys, right? So I think there's 3 different keys of Enoch, I believe. So I've always thought that those keys of Enoch were like occult, saturated with like magical spells and stuff. What am I thinking of with Enoch? I know Solomon, right? Like the keys of Solomon, right?
Maybe you were thinking about like the keys of Solomon or something like that, which I have. Maybe that's what you're thinking of.
Yeah. Okay.
I found one of the. Actually, this is one of the books I was using and reading from whenever I was doing that thing with Kenny. The books of Enoch, first, second, and third. So I'm not even sure if I have the book that he was reading from.
So C Truth says, is that the Elohim? I guess you're asking about what's on there. So I think that is the 7 rays of light, which is a concept that I feel like Blavatsky came up with. She might not have. Now it could be Alice Bailey, somebody else out of her camp. But the 7 rays of light, and there's different. I guess let's see what would be the easiest way to explain it. Probably, do you want to pull up a definition for me of the 7 rays just to explain it for definition? But I would say that they're different personifications of the one light and people type.
7 rays of God?
7 rays of God, yeah.
Alright, the 7 rays of God is a concept that has appeared in several religions and esoteric philosophies in both Western culture and in India since the last 6. It went ... I got pulled up. In the last 6, since at least the 6th century BCE, they are also known as, that's a word I haven't seen before, Chohans, Chohans, or angels from heaven. And that's like the first line from Wikipedia.
And that's 7 rays of God?
More to it, obviously.
7 rays of God?
I looked up 7
Alice
rays.
Bailey, yeah. Alice Bailey is the author of that.
Interesting. 7 rays of God.
Well, this says 7 rays of life. Interesting.
Oh.
I've always heard it 7 rays of light. It's almost like that, that scripture where it says, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. Some people say, well, it says I'm the way, the truth, and the light. Is it light or life? Like, I always get mixed up on that. 7 rays, 7 scrolls, 7 chakras, Adam Starseed says. And Gaia has a lot of stuff. The Gaia channel has a lot of stuff on the 7 rays. They got so much stuff, but I'm honestly I'm a novice to a lot of I know a little bit about a lot of stuff. But I am kind of stepping in and getting a little bit deeper into maybe some Blavatsky and Alice Bailey and some of the other people who brought Western spirituality over here and kind of made mysticism popular, if you will. And she's one of the names that was affiliated with Lucius Trust and everything. So the teaching on the 7 rays can enable all true servers to work with greater skill and effectiveness in their chosen field of activity. As Alice Bailey wrote, a study of the rays will mean that we shall have a practical method of analysis whereby we can arrive at a right understanding of ourselves as ensouling entities, and that a wiser comprehension of our fellow men. So essentially it's these kind of like personifications, like which ray that you are incarnated in, and what is your kind of like life's purpose is going to be in one of these rays or whatever. Let me see if there's a list of the 7 rays. 7 rays list. Let's see. Alice Bailey. I've read them before. And so it's from Theosophy. So the first ray is the ray of magic, or the will of the magician. Second ray, what is that? They all say magic. Fifth ray, magic of alchemy, magic of bhakti yoga, hatha yoga, astrology, raja yoga, ceremonial magic. Now this is from C.W. Ledbetter, though. I don't know. Yeah.
So that picture of the book that you were showing earlier.
Uh-huh.
I found one on Amazon. The Book of Knowledge, the Keys of Enoch, goes for like goes for almost 500 on Amazon.
What, like it's like $350?
$479.
Yeah, buy that for me, man.
I have to admit, I am intrigued, but like, good night.
Yeah. So I think this is another concept of the 7 rays, because like I said, that first one I just read didn't sound right. First ray, power of God. Second, wisdom of God. Third, love of God. Fourth, purity of God. Fifth, truth of God. Sixth, peace of God. Seventh, freedom of God. And I guess there's different wisdom master that is associated with that. So anyway, it's a whole philosophy. There's a good song called 7 Rays by Conspirituality where they kind of talk a little bit about it in that. So that's one of my favorite albums is the Conspirituality album, and they have a song called The 7 Rays. So I got to sprinkle that out there for you guys who need some new music. If you haven't heard that, that's freaking inspiration for me. For sure. C Truth says many Christians would consider this theosophical thought as satanic. Yeah, those same Christians, anything outside of their realm of thinking is satanic, So
yeah.
You gotta be able to look at the information for what it is, and then call it satanic. So again, I'm of the mind now of like, and I've always been, but when people are doing research and studying, and Christians will tell you not to do this because because you're gonna have to make an assessment. But when you're doing your research, most Christians, you research stuff against it. Again, just with the alien stuff, like, L.A. Marzulli got a book about how aliens are demons. Boom, hands down, book is closed. That's it. They're demons. Okay, cool. Read it all you want. I'm sure he's got some great information in there. I'm sure he brings some truth to the table in it. But for you just to read all of his books about aliens or demons and the other Christian guys that say aliens or demons, listen, if you really want to know the truth and you really want to get it in, you're going to have to go and listen to somebody who's not biased, who doesn't write books called aliens or demons. You're going to have to go read a Dr. Stephen Greer or David Wilcock or somebody else. So, instead of somebody's opinion of a circumstance or situation, go straight to the source. Most people aren't going to do that because you're warned to stay away from it. You're told that you may get converted or you may lose your soul. But the true fear is that you may start reading that stuff and then it may convert you. you may be open to it, right? I mean, I know that's been my story and yours, Gothic. I mean, I know a lot of stuff that you were probably scared, getting into, and now you appreciate some of the stuff that you've learned, and I know you've kind of studied it as from a Christian perspective. Like, have you seen that to be true with your story? Like, you went maybe to prove it wrong, or to you know what I'm saying, debunk it, and you started reading and you're like, oh wow, this is awesome,
More along the lines of kind of out of curiosity to see their perspective, and there are aspects that I still throw out as like, okay, I can see where they went wrong, but others it's like, well, that's interesting. I can kind of see, can kind of not, but at the same time, it's just, I know I say interesting a lot, but it is. And I think it's kind of where whenever you're reading the stuff and thinking on the stuff, trying to see their perspective, but also kind of where my current foundation with what the word is and what they're talking about. That's kind of where the line gets drawn. Like, okay, my current understanding of what the Father tells me of whether or not something is good or just to throw it out. Kind of that's where the line gets drawn. I'm like, okay, am I willing to, like for different magic books, whether like, okay, am I willing to put any of this stuff into practice, or is the Father saying, read it, don't do the stuff, but take it in as information. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, so you like reading books about summoning beings, or like, and then you start doing them? Summoning those entities. I can't lie. I mean, there's, that stuff's all in my. I depending on the entity. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
If this is an invocation to summon Michael, if this is an invocation to summon Gabriel, therefore your mind has a beautiful positive connotation with association with Gabriel, right? A benevolent entity that's here to help, So yeah, you would, you may let your guard down, by asking for assistance or reading an invocation or whatever, versus how to, summon the 7 spirits of Hades or something. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, really. Like, well, for me, like, one example, and this happened probably a couple of years ago. It was around Christmas time. I had gotten my hands on the book Sacred Magic of Ambermel and the Mage. I'm like, okay, I'm curious. I don't plan on doing this stuff, but like, I was just curious, and so I grabbed it. I was flipping through the book, and our old friend Eugene randomly messaged, just sent me a random text as I was like landing on this certain page, and I was actually on the phone with Amanda at the time, and so it was the crazy, like, you can't make up the synchronicity.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the book, and like, this system is crazy, and next thing you know, I get this text from Eugene talking about gematria, and then somehow I just knew that the system that was in this book, the magical square system, goes off the whole idea of gematria. I'm like, there's no way that human-wise, you can't make up the perfect timing of some of this stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I knew that the Lord wanted me to get that book, just to kind of read it and research. Probably not to do the stuff, because just to do the Ambermillion thing takes like 6 to 9 months, or maybe even 18 months, and it's like very demanding from what my research has shown. But still, it's like, you can't make up the stuff that the events that happen. It's just crazy.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. I don't know. I don't know what it means. I don't even know, if the information is what you're supposed to look into, probably, right?
Yeah.
Probably. But like some of it it's too weird. I mean, even just the one we kind of opened up today's talk about, just the phantom limb. Like that's a random phrase, and you hear it literally in you know what I'm saying, minutes of each other. Somebody says that the CIA is listening. It triggered that ad that. That's a possibility, but some of it, that's a possibility with that one. But, someone is listening. If you want to say God's listening or the angels are listening or everything is listening. Yeah. I mean, I've had, synchronicity is crazy.
Yeah.
Synchronicity is insane. Like just weird stuff that it doesn't always make sense, but when it does, as far as like if it's a book you're contemplating getting or you're going to turn left or turn right, boom. And then it's, there's had those stories. I mean, something wants you to know, we that was the round table we did a couple weeks, 2 weeks ago. And everyone's having it. Everyone's increasing. Christians are asking the question, what are angel numbers, because they're led to these numbers, 333, 1111, 444, they don't know what it means, but they're seeing them like crazy. And so, what I'm saying? So we got to at least explore it, not saying we're experts or we know exactly what's going on, because we don't.
Oh yeah. I still remember it was again a couple of years ago. I had just gotten that book based on astrology and looking at the constellations tied to like Christian stuff. I have to grab the book, but I'm like reading through it, of how the constellations is based on like the story of Jesus basically. And one portion, the word translates in Hebrew by unicorn. And then, like, literally, I'm like reading it in my mind. No human way that this could have, that this could have happened. I'm reading it in my mind, and all of a sudden, my roommate or housemate comes up to me. She's like, "Look what my boyfriend gave me sent me for Christmas. Freaking a box, black box with pink unicorns." I'm like, "What the freaking A? How is this possible?" Yeah. Literally seconds after I read unicorn, I'm like, this is not possible.
Yeah. I want to do, I know we did the round table just kind of discussing synchronicity and what is it, and maybe something's trying to get our attention, something from the other side that the only, the only power they have is to move and shift things here and there, and they're trying to communicate from the other side. I mean, we've watched those movies of like, someone dies and they're trying to yell at you, but you can't hear them. They may yell and you may feel wind. You may walk in a room, you may walk through them and your temperature drop, but you don't see them there. You don't know what it is, but it's like they're mustering all they can do to get our attention because something that's going on or something is about to happen. And with all of the increasing synchronicities on the planet, it seems like something is ramping up. Some say we're getting closer to 5D, that the veil between the worlds are getting thin, and we're starting to see more miracles and supernatural abilities and all of this stuff, with 5D. So we don't know, but you don't know unless you explore. So I mean, so we did the show just kind of discussing that, but I want to do an open line show where people just call in and share their synchronicity stories, like hear like great. Those far out awesome. Stories,
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Somebody asked about the 666 being an angel number. Like, yeah, I mean, I remember having a 666 synchronicity.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I know. It scared me at first, because it's like, oh, this is the devil. But like, yeah, it was like 4 or 5 things that day. I had a podcast that night, and I drove 666 miles. I put $66.66 of gas in the vehicle when I got done working. Like, there was several things. I hit 666 likes on the Mythicist page or something. Like, it was all of these things at the same time that were all 666, and I'm like, oh, I'm kind of tripping, because I'm like, oh, this isn't good. This is bad. So I had to kind of catch myself and like, hold on, let me Google if this is actually a good thing. And rightfully so, I found all of these articles that were so convincing at the time of what I needed to show that 666 was actually a good number. And, you know, it's like there's not a number that's bad. Like, come on, numbers are neutral. Yeah. But to be able to see those synchronicities like that with that number, you know, for one, to be able to see the good in things, that was a huge part of my awakening, was to be able to see bad stuff in everything, but to flip it and say, okay, I'm going to see the good in this. What good is, there's got to be some good there somewhere. And to be optimistic about it, like, you know, versus like, hey, we're not doing a podcast tonight, there's 666 everywhere. Some people would do that. They'd look at it as a sign not to do it and you know, step away. But everything I've seen was beautiful. I was like, wow, I had no idea. No idea. Joel Joseph is asking about the upcoming new moon Lionsgate, which is in 2 days, 8/8, the Lionsgate portal. Yeah, wow. A new moon, you know, so
double new beginnings.
Yeah. Yeah, and so, you know, it's good to start something new on the new moon. I always try to release an album on the new moon. When I put my music out, I always pick the release date as a new moon date. So, but, and then that's what the 8/8 portal is too, supposedly, that Sirius is coming into a perfect alignment with Orion and all that. So, which I've been a skeptic for a lot of that, you know.
Yeah,
we talked about it last night on School of the Mystics, but a lot of people believe in it, you know.
I'm still on the fence with that stuff, just because that it was a couple of years ago, maybe a little bit more recent, but there was a small or short season in time that kind of got me actually studying astrotheology. But there was a time when, like, the Lord told me something, and then on one of the groups I'm on Facebook, posted something about some kind of astrological event that was going on, and wasn't word for word, but they were kind of basically saying the same thing of what the Lord had told me. Like, you know, first the Lord said it, then that group said. I'm like, okay, that is weird. Let me see what happens. You know, sure enough, you know, it played out, and I actually had that happen about 2 or 3 times. So I know that some of the stuff is legit. But it kind of makes me wonder when it comes to talking about the 2 constellations, and because we see this stuff, or no, rephrase that, we see them posting this thing is happening here, but I don't know about you, but I honestly don't really feel anything like energetically wise. It's interesting watching things play out and knowing certain things are supposedly happening in the skies and the stars, but I never actually really feel anything, very rarely. I don't know about y'all.
I mean, you know, it could be, you know, some type of intellectual thing, like when you associate meaning with it, then you can actually feel it, you know.
Exactly.
If you don't,
kind of too.
Yeah, and that's 100% true. You know, just if it would mean more to you, you know, if you studied it and you know, just like, you know, your birthday, you know, when you wake up on your birthday, it feels different to you than it does a stranger. Like, hey, today's special, man. Today is, everything looks different today, you know, like, you know what I'm saying? Because you know something that other people don't know. So you're able to sense a different reality, if you will, undercover. So when someone, you know, studies all of this stuff and the expectation, there's this more umph in it. It makes it more potent to the person. I mean, anything of spiritual significance, you know, when you study something. But, you know, you could tell somebody it's your birthday, they could be happy for you, but they still don't get that feeling that it's your birthday, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's for you for that day. So that's definitely happening. Like if you, whatever you study, you know, and something happens, or, you know, you watch the news and you've been reading like doom and gloom stuff, and then you're like, oh my God, like I've been studying Bible prophecy for 20 years and now look where we are, you know? It's like they're freaking out, you know? It's like, you know, what you put in is going to show itself to you, what you're looking for. So if you're looking for high energy on 8-8, you're going to get high energy on 8-8. If you're not, you're not going to get anything. And so essentially you're creating it, even if it is something or if it isn't. Like for most of it's just going to be another day, and for someone else it's a high magic day, high day of you know, creativity and creation and birthing something and contact and all kinds of stuff, you know.
It's always just interesting watching, because Adam said, you know, the stars and planets do have effects on humanity, and I'm reading one of the books of Solomon. I don't remember which one it is. I don't know if it's the Testament or the Keys, but I know, you know, that supposedly it does have. It very well could be, because I know that if we are very dull on something, we're not going to catch it. So it could very well be that we are just not sensitive enough to feel the effects, which is very possible. But at the same time, I have seen with my own personal eyes, and I know my parents have seen this too, being, you know, is my dad law enforcement, my mom been in the medical field, and I've seen it myself that full moons can explain it.
Yeah.
They have an effect, and we always knew when something was going on because we would look, and sure enough, it was a full moon, and all hell was breaking loose.
Yeah. Well, they say, you know, crime rate increases during the full moon.
Yeah.
So. But I think you're talking about I know the Testament of Solomon does talk about the different star systems and planetary alignments that are over certain demons and things like that, and the angels that bind them. But it definitely mentions the astrology behind it too. But again, you know, we don't know, but we're just talking about how we feel, you know. Like,
exactly.
But I mean, you know, you do have those days that you wake up and you're just not feeling it, you know. And I think that if we knew the astrology, you know, behind it, it may help for us to know when to plant, when to start something new, when I should, you know, be around people, when I should plan a party. You know, I know people who actually know their astrology enough to where they have, you know, we're going to have to take medication and see a psychologist, but they just started, you know, reading their astrology and planning their weeks by that. And they've say that it works for them. So, you know, but again, that's just by faith or whatever. I don't know, but it's definitely something that the old world knew, you know, or believed, and we've gotten so far away from it. Like the only thing about it is you have to be a skeptic because there's so much false and disinformation out there about it. Like if you found, because for one, there's so many different modes of astrology. Right? There's, you know, they had that one guy on. It was a beautiful episode, but he was talking about like, I don't know if it was Tibetan astrology or something, but it was Indian astrology, and it's just like totally different than, you know, classical astrology. And it's like, which one's right? Well, both of them are right. So, you know, trying to figure out someone who knows their stuff and is proven, you know, I don't know how many are legit, you know?
Yeah.
How many I would trust, You know, that's just me. You got to be a skeptic, but the skeptic is open to the information. You know.
Yeah, that kind of goes along with my current perspective of life. It's like I consider myself a say open, and then there's negative, pessimistic or optimistic pessimist. Whereas it's one of the two where like I try to see the good in everything, but I see, acknowledge, and understand that there is bad in the world. But I try to see everything in a positive light.
Yeah, I'm the same way. And I know that there's healthy skepticism, but I feel like it's allowed me to see some really cool stuff, you know, and in the spirit world and stuff that crosses over. Like I don't know, it's helped me, and I'm gonna continue to embrace it. Like I don't want to be like just believing everything or tricking myself into believing that I saw the things that I saw. You know, I know that that's there because especially if you want to see something so bad, you know, like you said, the UFO things. And I can't tell you how many times I've been stargazing and been in like a deep state, you know, connecting and asking for a sighting and all that. And then there's this light coming towards me that's really, really, really bright. And I'm just like, I know that it's a UFO. I know it's a chariot deep down, and then it flies over me and it's an airplane, you know. And you think it's a UFO until it gets up to you. You're like, oh, okay.
Yep.
You know, I could have walked away and said, yeah, I saw that was a UFO, but no, I like, you know what I'm saying? You want to make sure you get to see these things because they're real. And there's so much out there. And if it's not real, then don't chase it or don't believe in it. But, you know, whatever you're seeking will show itself to you. So I think, like, hold out. You know what I'm saying? Hold out for the real stuff. You don't have to settle for a fake encounter or whatever, you know?
Exactly. Anyone has any stories for us or wants to ask any questions? 515-605-9776.
9776. We had a comment here from somebody's, at least it's the first comment I've seen from them tonight. I'm trying to find out who it was. It just said TruthSeekah Warrior says, definitely got to do more of these, brothers. Peace and shalom, y'all. For sure. We would definitely do more of these. I've been wanting to do them and kind of rebranding and changing some stuff up. And so yeah, we're doing this and trying some new audio stuff. It's kind of hard to do the technology and make everything communicate and talk to each other. Sometimes it could be hard. So when you're connecting the phone lines, I remember we've done the phone lines before, and people call in and they can't hear us. You know, one thing, you know, not lined up right, will mess it all up. So when you finally get it to working, and what we're doing now, what we're using now for the phone lines is pretty expensive. So I'm just kind of wanting to test it out and making sure that that people, you know, are going to use it and it works good. And so, and if so, we'll keep doing it, you know, we'll pay for it and stuff. And so I love people supporting and helping out. David Brodus, I guess that's your name, just came on as a patron. Thank you. Just got that alert. Thanks so much for joining. And I'll give you a shout out again at the beginning of the next podcast. So, man, yeah, every little bit helps, and all of this stuff kind of, you know, stacks up, and it ends up costing a lot a month. So a lot of the bigger and better things that we want to do, it just costs or whatever. But I'm willing to pay it, man. This is so fun and so much information, you know, that we're getting into, and so, man. So we got another call?
Yep, we got Tom on the line here.
All right, Tom.
Tom, how are you?
Welcome to the podcast, brother.
Yeah, thanks.
How's it going?
Yeah, I just happened to see you guys for the first time. So I just kind of never believed in anything until I have to see it, you know.
Oh yeah.
Until I saw that latest one with the military showing it on radar, and then that spacecraft or what they were watching on radar went into the water off the in the Pacific.
Yeah.
I think it was off the coast of San Diego.
Oh yeah.
So that one was an eye opener. That one kind of, you know, I feel like that one showed me that those were probably the real deal.
Yeah, they convinced a lot of people, you know, a lot of you know, people in military, for sure.
So you know, but, you know, they showed that this craft was probably 40 feet in length and was traveling at 8,000 miles an hour. So we know there's nothing that humans can make that can fly 8,000 miles an hour in our atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
No way.
Yeah, we're starting to get some stuff from the government. They're starting to release some documents and some footage and stuff like that, which I think they have to control the narrative. You know, eventually they're going to tell us what they are, and most likely are going to say that they're a
Maybe
threat.
they don't even know what they are, though. See, that's the thing. I think they don't even know themselves. I think what it is probably, I mean, who knows what these creatures could look like
Yeah.
inside this craft. They could be like little miniature beings. Maybe they're only a centimeter in height. Maybe
Yeah.
they're, I mean, we don't know.
Yeah, it reminds me of the.
And at the same time, if they've got what they've created, you know, why would they even want to talk to us idiots?
Yeah.
You know, that's why they don't contact us, because it'd be like a waste of their time and effort. They would get nothing from us. It would be a waste of their time.
Yeah. I'm with you. I think that's why we don't see much interaction.
Yeah, they're just like, these poor saps.
Well, it's probably why we're not trying to communicate with ants. You know, we're like, what are we gonna do if we
what are we gonna
talk
get
to
from them? Are they gonna tell us something we don't know, or explain something that
the secrets of the
No, I
universe
don't
or
think
something?
so.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. And then if you stick your hand in an ant pile, they're gonna hurt you. You know, and so if we catch it, if we
right.
you know, catch a down craft, yeah, we're gonna cut them open and do experiments on them. I mean, it's just what's gonna happen. You know.
Yeah, really, right?
And they're probably gonna do the same to us.
Yeah. It's pretty cool, man. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, you know, at this point,
seeing is believing, man.
What are we gonna say? What are we gonna do? There's nothing we can do or say. They're just ignoring us, and they don't really care about us.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
Yeah. Well, thanks for the call, Tom. Would you listen? Or are you listening on Blog Talk or YouTube?
Yeah, I called in through Blog Talk.
Nice. Awesome, man. Well, it's good to have you, man. We're going to be doing this more often if you want to call in and share. Thanks for the...
Okay, I'll listen in to hear anybody and come in contact with them directly. You know, I mean, we don't, you know, some people have said they've been abducted in their sleep and they were woke up on a table in a spaceship with aliens over them. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, my podcast, we actually interview, you know, those people a lot on here, and people who've had, you know, so-called encounters and stuff like that. And one of the interesting things about the abduction phenomena is that there's something called the MILAB abductions, MILAB. It's military-induced abductions, and a lot of those people who wake up and say that they're laying on a table strapped down, a lot of times in the corner they see a person wearing military garb in the corner while these, you know, little beings are you know, messing with them. There's humans there wearing military outfits on the so-called ships or whatever as well. So whether the government is working with them or it's something that has been done to push fear and hysteria within ufology. It's another interesting take for sure.
How about this theory? How about this theory? Those who are actually running this planet are aliens, and the ones that they saw that look like humans and human or in military clothing were actually they can transform themselves into looking like us, and so they're actually amongst us, but we don't know who they actually are because they can transform.
Yeah. I mean, the Bible says that maybe
they are who created us. Maybe we are just like just some experiment.
A lot of people believe that too. The Bible says that we entertain angels unaware, that there's angels or angelic beings that we come in contact with daily and we don't even know. So it says to make sure that you're good to entertain strangers, because you don't know, you never know when you come in contact with one.
The aliens wrote the Bible. Probably the aliens wrote the Bible, which are our actual creators. And who's to say who our creators are? We can say whatever or think whatever it is we think our creator of God looks like.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe the Bible, who wrote the Bible, and the God is some alien being. Or maybe, I don't know. Who knows, man? I mean, you can go on and on and on, right? It can be endless.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Well, hey, man, thanks for the call, brother.
All right, buddy.
All right, many blessings.
Yeah, until we actually get an alien in front of us and talking to us and telling
I'll
us
interview
what's
him.
Going on. Yeah.
I'll have him on here. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, man. Sounds good.
All right, brother.
Sounds good, man. Talk
Good night.
Later.
Yes, sir.
Take care of yourself, Tom.
Bye.
All right, Tom. Yes, sir. Yeah, I mean, he talks about them being real little. Like I feel like there was a episode of The Twilight Zone where there's this little UFO. It's a good episode, guys. You guys got to look it up. Just type in tiny UFO Twilight Zone, but it lands or whatever. And there was a spin to that episode, but it was really good. I don't want to give away the plot twist or whatever, but there's this little bitty UFO that's flying around and it lands and like this little alien gets out or whatever. So if you guys haven't seen that episode, there's some gems from The Twilight Zone. So make sure y'all check that out. But it has to do with little aliens, I'll say. I'll try to go back and read some of these comments. There's a bunch of comments here. Let's see. Nick Russo says, I told my boss about you today and you speak about paranormal and spirituality, and boom, here you are live talking about just that, the paranormal and spirituality. For sure. It's what we do, man. Matthew says, a friend of mine found TruthSeekah, but I don't listen to a lot of rap, so I was not paying attention to the music, the 333 album. What I saw later that night changed my life. Awesome. What was it that you saw? See Truth says, oh yeah, there's an interview with an insider in the 80s who describes that same UFO that the Navy showed. I have to look it up sometime to remember. Awesome. Yeah, that stuff's old, man. A lot of that footage is old. But it's so weird though looking up that stuff on YouTube now, because there's so much fake stuff too, There's so much stuff that's like hoaxed or whatever and set up just for clicks and views. So again, you got to dig, man, You got to dig, and then if you're looking for the footage, you'll find some cool stuff, but go out and do the CE5 and just film it yourself, or just have the encounter and don't film it. That's, if you really want to know, the truth is out there for sure. Joel says, can clouds turn into different shapes to represent a manifestation of an entity? Because one time I was finishing prayer and looked up and I saw eyes in the clouds looking down at me. I think so. I think that could happen for sure. I've seen a lot of symbols in the clouds and stuff, So Chris says, just got home. Howdy, everyone. What's up, brother? And Tony in chat says, brother, I have 47 years worth of these experiences. Well, we're going to do more shows, man. And we're going to open up the phone lines and, we're going to do this more often. So make sure you call in and share some of these experiences. I do too, man. I love talking about this stuff. I love experiencing it and creating a safe place for people to share their experiences, man. Not to be laughed at or belittled and really to try to come together. The more that you hear about something or people experiencing something, the less you feel like a crazy person, because some of the stuff people have nobody to talk to. So they have to call, radio shows and podcasts and stuff. And listen, when I was going through a lot of this stuff, I stayed on Blog Talk Radio. I stayed calling in these shows and sharing my story and asking questions to some of the people who were being interviewed. And man, it helped me so much. So we're going to be doing more of this. So thanks everybody for hanging out with us tonight. Enjoyed this so much. Thank you, Gothic, for manning the phone lines and being a part of the show, brother. Bringing
anytime
everything to the table that you bring too. So we're going to go ahead and call it a night. Thank you guys for hanging out. If you want to support and get perks and cool rewards, all that cool stuff, go to patreon.com/TruthSeekah. Bunch of cool stuff there. Entire discography is there. There's all kinds of stuff. We do got some events coming up. In November, we're going to be doing the Reset, Refresh, and Renew with Illuminati Congo. He's going to be coming down and doing that event with us. And so I'm so looking forward to that. So any of you guys are interested, make sure you go to TruthSeekah.com and check out everything we got going on. With that, I'm going to say peace and shalom, y'all. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. And good night. Good night. Peace.
Your will so much higher than mine. So much higher than mine. So much deeper than mine. So much deeper than mine.
Well, that does it for this episode, folks. To hear more episodes of the TruthSeekah Podcast, head over to TruthSeekah.com. And if you're wanting to support the show and get rewards, go to our Patreon page at patreon.com/TruthSeekah.